And joining me now to discuss this further, Hasan Yalcin, Associate Professor at the Istanbul Commerce University, and also on our panel, Navvar Saban, Analyst at the Omran Centre for Strategic Studies. Gentlemen, thank you for being here with Straight Talk. Navvar, I'm going to start with you. Let's just begin by explaining to our audience why Turkey considers it so vital to keep the YPG away from its borders, particularly in this Eastern Euphrates area.
Great. First of all, thank you. The situation always have been critical in this borderline for the Turkish side. They've been since a long time mobilizing some of its forces to secure its national security. Recently, in this borderline cities and villages, a lot of problem occurred between the Kurdish side that running these cities and the Arabic, and this kind of tension, in a way, will affect the Turkish side. So.
How does it affect Turkey's security?
There is some kind of relationship between these villages and the villages on the Turkish side. So anything, the security situation, when it become fragile in this area, it will eventually affect the Turkish side. So they don't have the Turkish side don't have the luxury just to keep it going as the way it is. So they had to, in a way, put an end to all this kind of like problem and incident happening in this area.
With that in mind, Navvar, why are we seeing the United States supporting the YPG and, conducting these joint patrols along the Eastern Euphrates?
The American response is a bit shy in regard of this. They don't want, first of all, to upset the Turk. They have a good thing running in Manbij, and they are going to this next phase, which is like electing a local council, some kind of local council that run the city. They choose to run a joint patrol with the YPG SDF on the borderline, but that didn't stop the operation. It stopped it for like a couple of days, and then the Turkish continue targeting some of the villages. So in a way, the American side did that just to say to the Kurdish side that we are with you. But in a way, this didn't affect the Turkish operation. It's just a very indirect response from the American side.
Hasan, let's bring you in here. It may have been indirect, but it did anger the Turkish side. President Erdogan came out quite strongly saying that this is not something that is acceptable. We see on one hand, Turkey and the United States working together with joint patrols in Manbij. On the other hand, we see them at odds over the YPG. How damaging is this situation for the NATO allies?
Yeah, it's quite damaging because Turkey has been fighting for more than 3 decades against a terrorist organization. And the center of that terrorist organization was located in northern Iraq. But right now we can say that the center of that organization, the political center of that organization, is moving towards northern Syria. So Turkey considers that as the #1 national security concern. So Turkey repeatedly asked the United States to cooperate on these kinds of issues. But the United States, as far as I understand, in the current government situation, there's no quite clear plan of what to do in Syria. That's why they don't want to just move away from PYD, because they had already built 22 military bases in northern Syria under the control of PYD region, and whatever the next plan, whatever the next move for the United States thinks that they will need this territory for any kind of operation.
So do you think that it's going to disrupt the Turkey-US alliance if we keep seeing them at odds over the YPG?
Yeah, the Turkish-United States relation is already disrupted. So we are actually trying to normalize this kind of relationship. Turkey, for a long time, waited for U.S. response, a positive U.S. response, but the United States rejected to make any concessions on this kind of an issue. So Turkey chose some other path to deal with Syria issue in conjunction with Russia and Iran. Under these conditions, the United States asked Turkey to cooperate again, to normalize some kind of issues, and they show Turkey that they can make some concessions. But these concessions are not real, are not some concrete concessions. They are just making some promises that was never kept until right now. And Turkish government right now thinks that there is no way the United States is going to keep its promises. They already they located themselves in the northern Syria, and they are just protecting PYD region. That's why normalization requires huge concessions on the US side. Not supporting a terrorist organization anymore, not giving military weapons to those organizations, to that organization. That's why even if you try small steps making the relations normalized, it's not going to work in the short run.
It's going to be definitely a long term.
Yeah.
We haven't seen those concessions yet. Navvar, let's look at the role that the United States has been playing in Syria. Of late, it's largely been left out of a lot of these joint summits on Syria. Do you think Turkey is purposely sidelining the United States?
In a way, they are and they aren't. Both of these countries, they have lots of things on their plate. The Americans still continue their so-called operation against ISIS and ISIS last pocket. They recently discovered that vanquishing ISIS from city and location does not mean that they got rid of ISIS. So not participating in summits that focus on other front is something isn't bothering the American a lot, because they already have lots of things going on the eastern Syria, on Tanaf. They had a problem with the Rukban refugee camp. There was a lot of pressure. Now they are like the YPG, they are trying to. They discovered that there is lack of strategy when it comes to YPG ground operation, because they simply couldn't finish the Al-Hajim pocket in Deir ez-Zor, which is a very small area, which caused the American to increase their airstrike. Again, it's another pressure, international pressure. So simply the Americans have lots of things going on their front in the eastern Syria. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hasan, you mentioned in your previous answer that the relationship between Turkey and the United States has been disrupted, but recently we have seen them coming together a little bit more. There's been the easing of the sanctions after the release of Pastor Brunson, etc. Do you think the current situation in Syria could derail a lot of that good cooperation that we've seen in a broader sense between Turkey and the United States?
I tend to think that these incidents individually are not the causes of the disrupted relationship between Turkey and the United States. The real cause is that the United States is following a very aggressive foreign policy that rejects cooperating on significant issues. Turkey was a loyal NATO partner and repeatedly for a long time has asked to the United States to make cooperation in Syria. But as in the case of US relations with other traditional partners, US repeatedly rejects this kind of cooperation and cooperation ideas. Trump government made it in a more arrogant way clear to its partners that I'm just going to deal with my own national interests, but not with your national interests. That's why the problem is like a field over there, and all products of that field is crisis indicators. So Brunson issue, visa issue, F-35 issue, S-400 issue, these are not crises. These are not just outcomes of a field of crisis, a process of crisis produced by the United States. So even if you solve all these crises one by one, they are going to be recreated because of U.S. style of diplomacy right now in the world. This is not peculiar to Turkish relationship. This includes all American partners. So in the short run, you cannot expect that they are going to be solved. In order to solve these kinds of issues, before the United States should decide what's its foreign policy goal in Syria, or in general what's in Middle East, and in general what's in the entire world. Without an answer to that kind of a question, we are not going to be in a position to take, in the case of Turkey, what kind of a behavior can create cooperation.
Navvar, I want to ask you the recent developments with regards to the reward that the United States has put out there for 3 high-ranking PKK members, $12 million collectively. Is this an issue that the United States is genuinely concerned about, or is this just a way of them placating the situation with Ankara?
Simply, it's a PR stunt. If they cared about this situation, or this incident or this issue, they had to do these kind of steps a long time ago. So simply because what happened on the eastern side of Euphrates, the American had to do something that, in a way, ease up the relationship with the Turk. So they come up with this, and I think also in the future we might see them also tackling other members of the YPG, PKK, telling them, showing the Turkish side that we also are concerned about your national security and we are helping. Simply, in my opinion, it's a PR stunt from the American side, trying to make things smoothly with the Turk, at least until Manbij deal finish and we jump to another deal.
Hasan, do you agree it's a PR move?
Yeah, exactly. The main idea is that we are making some kind of concessions, but not on the PYD issue, but we are doing it on the PKK issue.
So they're tinkering on the edges.
They are still changing the target. They are making a target diversion behavior. And that's why Turkey does not consider it as a genuine way of making cooperation. Actually, the US repeatedly did the same kind of arguments, but Turkey is not anymore in a situation to make it seriously, to think that it's a serious concession.
Yeah, they certainly haven't been placated, not by a long shot.
It's already tried and it doesn't work, it's clear.
Hasan Yalcin, Navvar Saban, thank you so much for joining us on Straight Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.